Oh, sure, no problem. Okay. Do you still have the case study handy for this week? We're supposed to discuss the pros and cons of each candidate.
Let me go get my notebook really quick because I have it written down on actual like paper.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Excuse me, there is a message for you.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Are you feeling better?
In some ways.
Okay.
Long story.
Hey, Amanda.
Here we go.
Okay, so Amanda, just to fill you in, we decided to go ahead and jump right into the case study. So the first item we were going to be discussing was the pros and cons of each of the candidates.
Hey. Don't bother me right now. Go. Go away. Go away. Okay. Is my microphone on? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you just heard me scolding my 9-year-old. Okay. Yeah, the candidates. Okay. So did you guys already say who you felt was best and why?
The thing we were going to discuss was based.
Okay.
Just the pro. So we can go ahead and start with the Rena Shea. Did anyone have anything they wanted to mention about her?
Yeah, I think that she needs to be okay. Since she's a junior analyst, I think that they need to settle on, you know, the two senior guys. That the one was so arrogant and awful, and then the other one was so old. I can't remember names, but the older guy, I think they need to hire him for the position, and I think they need to keep her on as the junior and tell her that she's going to take over that job in about 2 or 3 years when that guy retires. Happen here.
Was there things particular that you liked about Rena? Anything about her?
Well, if you read the article that was next to the one we read, that talked about the stars, like positioning of a star, that article specifically said that recruiting people from outside of your company, once they become in your company, they are not going to perform as well as they had in their previous company. And that is because the work culture is different. So they have to spend their time rebuilding their relationships. They have to make new contacts. They have to get used to the new work culture, like everything. So even though you recruit a star, you're not going to have that same kind of performance once you bring them into the company. And so I'm using that as my basis for saying, okay, if that's the case, then anyway, she's already performing well with that company. She already knows company policies. Her only thing is she doesn't have the experience. So I think she fully deserves to have that position, but she's got to have a little more experience before she gets that position. And that's where I think you bring the other guy in who's already got the experience, but he's good with people and he has contacts, and he seemed like the one that would succeed most. To groom her to take over in a few years when he retires. And I think that they need to keep that contract. He requested the 2-year contract where it said, you know, that profits aren't going to be good with semiconductors for a couple of years. Do you remember reading that? So he requested a contract during that time frame when the conductor business is not going to be in an upswing. I think that they need to upfront that cost and give him the 2-year contract and essentially say, hey, you know, after 2 years, you may be looking for, you know, we're wanting to promote her from within the company, and you're going to be her person that works with her to get her to where she needs to be. But by then, if he's really that old, by then he should be ready to retire anyways. So.
Good point. Excellent. Very good. I like your explanation, Amanda. In fact, actually, it gave me some things to think about because actually, Rena wasn't the candidate I was initially thinking about for hiring, but I think you really presented a compelling argument as to why she should be. So, great job.
Hey, now, what did you guys have to say? Did you like the one guy that the top exec, like the top analyst, that was so arrogant? I couldn't stand him.
Oh yeah, he was terrible. Ruby, did you have anything you wanted to add about Rena? Pros and cons about her?
No, I think Amanda did a good job. She wasn't the candidate I picked either, so I didn't really. Yeah, I have nothing to add for that one.
Okay, let's move on. Again, in no particular order. Let's go ahead and move on to Gerald Baum.
Yeah, he's the one I couldn't stand.
Yeah.
So yeah, first of all, he was late. So that was like, really? Like, you're trying to get a job here and you're late? And then he also like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say.
During the interview, he had mentioned that he was unhappy with his current job situation, and then the case study mentioned that individuals who aren't happy in their current place of employment, there's a good chance that they won't be happy in their next place. So that was a thing to be concerned about for Gerald, that he may not be happy. Again, like some of the things he was complaining about were like minutia things, like the copier not working right, things like that.
I also thought a person that comes in, he had previous experiences where he was not kind to his coworkers. And so if you go in with an attitude like you're superior, and then you're not kind to your coworkers, you are going to destroy that work culture that's already in place. That's the number one reason I felt like he was the worst candidate. Even though he was probably the most qualified in every other area, he was not going to work at building that culture. He was going to destroy that culture and bring it down. When college choir, there was a candidate who had the very best high school choirs in the state, and they wanted to hire him. They were looking at hiring. He was one of the last 3 candidates for that position, for the college choir position that was coming open. And they went around and they asked his previous college students, previous high school students, they asked these high school students, you know, how was your teacher? And they specifically asked, because our community college, the band, choir, and orchestra programs work together to build each other up. And they interviewed my husband, because my husband had been in his choir, and in his high school choir. And every student they interviewed at the college said, you know what, he is the best choral conductor you will ever meet, but he will tear down the band and the orchestra program to build his choral program. And because he would tear down the other 2 programs, he did not get hired for that position, even though he was, without a question, hands down, the best choir teacher in high school, like hands down. But he didn't get that college position because he would have torn down the culture of, let's build the music programs, not tear them down. So I've seen that personally, you know, and I want a builder, not somebody who's going to tear down what we've worked so many years to build.
No, perfect. Great example. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, so
no, it's perfect. So is there anything else we want to add to Gerald Baum, or do we have him pretty covered?
I think we have him pretty covered.
Okay. Well, again, next on our list will be David Hughes. He was the older gentleman that Amanda had discussed earlier. So what would be the pros and cons for him, if anyone wants to field that?
I've already stated, yeah. He was, obviously he's old and he could get burned out easily, but he's old enough, he knows the business so well, and he contacts, and he's not so arrogant as the other candidate, as Gerald. So I just think that you needed his knowledge and expertise in order to train your other candidate, to train your junior analyst. But he was the best one. I thought he was the one that they should hire and keep as the junior.
Oh, perfect. Sounds great. Ruby, did you have anything you wanted to mention or discuss about David Hughes?
So just adding to what Amanda already said, I have on my notes written down that he has a lot of like recognitions. Let's see, he has an impressive record. And then one of the negative, I guess, aspects you could classify this under would be like, in one point, the guy that was interviewing him, I forgot his name, said that like he felt that David was the one interviewing him instead of him interviewing David, if that makes any sense. So I thought that's kind of like he kind of took over the interview. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, but that's everything I have for David.
Perfect. Sounds great. I didn't really have anything else to add, but I did like the fact that he was there early for the interview. It seemed to me, I guess, maybe some of the older people tend to have a little more manners and kindness and respect, which we see that people like Gerard Baum didn't really demonstrate at all. So maybe kind of lost on our current generation of people. But
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and move on to our next candidate, which is Sonia Mitha. Sonia was actually the person I wanted to hire before hearing Amanda's explanation. So, okay, so let's go ahead and go over the pros and cons for Sonia. What were some of the things that you would say for her?
So she was the person I would hire. Sorry, Amanda.
Go ahead. It's okay.
And I put that she was early to the interview. She's also has great recognition. She was really confident. She's efficient, and then she asked very good questions. When like she was asked if she had any questions about her job, she brought out really good questions in comparison to like the other candidates. So I thought that really stood out to me. So that's why I would have hired her.
Way that you do about her, I thought she was a very excellent, and in the end, the reason that I did not go with her was because she has 2 children, and with a mom of 7 children, there are times when your children take precedence over work, and we would be running into that issue continuously with her, especially because the article didn't mention what type of work her husband had. And so we don't know, is her husband full-time dad? Does he take care of the demands of the children? We were not given. If we had our information, if we knew that dad was the full-time mom, that dad took care of the kids' needs and that it wasn't going to interfere with Sonia's work, then I would have picked her hands down. Hands down. But just because I know that children complicate work schedules, that's the only reason I did not pick her. That's sad to say, because somebody would use that against me in a job position offering, and but there's truth to it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and you're right, Amanda. It didn't mention it in the case study at all, but I would actually probably make the suggestion that because of her salary, her husband probably is a stay-at-home dad, because again, with the money she was making, she probably made husband to not even have to work, which I thought was interesting. I do like the fact that it mentioned she in the case study that she kind of went around not always being able to travel because of her children, and organizing what did it say, conference calls between clients and customers, basically being able to be adequate at her job from home. I think the case study illustrated that she did that very well. So that was one of the things that I took into consideration when I decided to choose her. But again, as per Amanda's argument for Rena, I actually almost kind of want to change my mind now, but okay, perfect. Is there anything else that we need to add about Sonia?
No.
Okay, our last candidate is Seth Holcomb. I don't really remember Seth. I think he was the outsider. Was that right?
The mysterious one that like no one could find any dirt, good or bad, on him.
Yeah.
And some of the good points I have for him was that he's very intelligent and ambitious. and he was very eager for his like the job he was currently working in, as well as eager for like this new job opportunity that he might be given. So I thought that was really neat.
His problem is from the buy side. I don't know if you read the notes that talked about the buy side and the sell side. I'm getting this right, but he was from remember when the boss asked his colleague, you know, who do I hire? And the colleague, his trusted colleague, said from the buy side because of this and this and this. So I was thinking, you know, he's from the buy side, so he's not gonna. And then the manager, he would lose his credibility with the next time that he went to his coworker friend for advice. If he hires the buy side guy, he's going to lose his credibility with his coworker. If he hires that guy after the guy, he's going to say, well, why would you want my opinion again when you didn't value my opinion the first time, you know? So he's not going to want to lose that credibility. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds great. Anything else to add to Seth, or do we have him covered?
I think we have him covered.
Okay, perfect. So I guess we've all kind of already answered this question, but the next part of the agenda for our group discussion would be to discuss who we would hire and why. Again, I mean, my initial feeling was to hire Sonia, but after listening to Ruby's argument, I think I'm almost swayed to switch to Rena instead. I like the idea of rewarding those who have been faithful and loyal to the company. So Rena giving her the opportunity to flourish and really grow into the role of being the analyst that they're looking for. She may actually have that drive to do so. So that is something to consider, I think. Perfect. Did anyone else want to add anything more to who they would hire and why?
No, I think I'm pretty firm on my position still. So.
Very good. Okay, so it was next mentioned as part of the agenda that we're supposed to go over the salary. It says, let me see here if I did. Share the information contained in the recruitment of a star salary information document with your group mates. And then pondering the data of how much each person would be making, ask each person if they would be willing to change their mind about who they would hire and why. So I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to look over that list. I can go ahead and go over the numbers because I have it here. Okay, so David, current.
I thought it said that they made between 700,000 and 3 million a year. Is that not?
Oh, that's what I thought too. But apparently, certain people, if they would be hired, would require a higher salary.
Oh, really? Where was that information?
It was
I missed that.
Provided in the group agenda for the group leader for this week.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, so it looked like according to the list here, David was his current salary is 1.3 million. If he were to be hired as the analyst at RSH, he would be getting 1.5, so he would be the highest paid.
wow.
Next was Gerard, who's currently getting 0.9 million. He would be getting 1.2. Seth would be getting currently is 1.7, getting 1 million even. Sonia current salary is 0.4 million, and she would be getting 0.7 million with RSH. And Rena, interesting enough, was only getting 0.3 million and would be getting the same salary, 0.3 million, if she were hired as the analyst. So looking over those numbers, I thought it was actually interesting that, again, if we had gone with Rena as the hiree, I mean, the company would be saving quite a bit of money if they decided to go with her.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I guess the case study was asking, would anyone consider changing their mind based on the salary that they would be required to hire that person?
I think that they owe her a lot more money than that, though.
Yeah, it is interesting to me how come certain people would require the higher salary than others, but okay, very good. Let's go ahead and move on to the next item for the discussion. Let's see here. Okay, it's asking the question, should Stephen give Rena a permanent offer or hire outside the company? We've kind of gone over that and our thoughts on both for and against. So I think that we got that pretty covered, unless anyone else wanted to add to that question. No? Okay.
No.
Then it asks, should Stephen have let Peter go? I was a little confused about that because I thought he didn't really have a choice. I thought Peter was voluntarily leaving to go to a different company. So I wasn't sure if keeping him was even an option.
Yeah, I agree with that because he kind of just left and gave him like, I don't even remember him saying that a notice was given. He just kind of like got up one day and was like, by the way, I'm leaving. So.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Say that that not Peter, the guy, the boss guy. What's his name?
Stephen.
It's Stephen's boss, because everybody's got a boss. It did say that Stephen's boss was unhappy that he had let him go. So so I wonder if they're implying in that question, should he have raised his salary or counter offered to raise his salary in order to keep him? I think that's what that question is implying.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It kind of makes me just think this is all greed. It's all about money, and you're already making such astronomical figures, and you want more money. So I don't know, but we're not told what kind of job Peter was going to. So maybe he had leaving besides just money. I don't know. So, but I don't think that there's anything further really they could have done other than more money. Money talks, people listen, but no, I don't think there was anything else that Stephen could have done to keep Peter.
Okay, perfect. Well said. Okay, so next on the agenda to discuss, does the performance at one firm guarantee high performance at another firm? Did anyone want to field that one?
Does it guarantee what?
Does performance at one firm guarantee high performance at another firm?
I don't think it does.
No, it actually decreases it.
Okay, did anyone else have anything else to add?
No.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Okay, then we were also given, I don't know if you saw this.
I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, Amanda. Did you have anything else to add to that last question about the job performance guaranteeing a high performance in another?
I wasn't able to hear Ruby's answer. Her microphone didn't come through on my end, so I don't know what Ruby said. The Harvard companion article to the case study. It specifically said no. It not only doesn't guarantee performance, it actually decreases performance. So I'm just going off of what that article stated.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So no, it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then we were given another handout from the case study. It's discuss the types of human capital. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that handout.
Which one?
It was called the types of human capital.
It sounds familiar.
But familiar.
Okay, I have the printout here, so I can just read it over really quick. So we're familiar. Then we can just discuss this really quick. Okay, so general human capital encompasses the management skills to gather, cultivate, and deploy financial, technical, and human resources. It includes leadership, decision-making capabilities, as well as expertise. Okay, so that was the general human capital. Then there's strategic human capital, which is expertise gained from experience in situations that require specific strategic skills, such as cutting costs, driving growth, and maneuvering in cyclical markets. Industrial human capital.
This is the one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
That talks about the things that can go from like there's certain human interpersonal skills that will transfer from company to company, and there are certain human interpersonal skills that will not transfer from company to company.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that won't transfer are like relationships that you've formed with people. Like just because you worked good in one team does not mean you're going to work good in another team, because they're different personalities, different people. And so you can't, that human capital is not going to carry over to a new job. But then there are other human capitals that will carry over to another job. Like there's like contact people that you know, like it's the same industry. Then if you know the same people, you know, if you're transferring to the same industry, in all of your content, they're all to be, you know, so you're still gonna can talk to. But if you're moving from a job in the semiconductor industry to a job in some other, like the telephone industry, the contacts that you had that are so valuable in the semiconductor industry are not going to be valuable in that cell phone industry, because they deal with different things. So you have to look at what job applicant is going to bring to the table, and how much do they have at their current job that's actually going to transfer as a benefit into. So that's what that handout's all about. It was very confusing. I had to read it 3 times before I understood this page trying to say. Like, I didn't understand what is human capital, but that's what I got out of it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Amanda. Yeah, I wasn't really sure how this kind of related. It was just part of the discussion for our meeting today. But I guess each of the different candidates demonstrates one of the specific human capitals. And obviously, we can see from that certain people may be more suited for this analyst job than others. So I guess taking that into consideration would also be important in deciding who you want to hire.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're pretty much wrapped up. We have the conclusion section now, which talks about help your group members notice the key concepts from this case by providing a summary of the discussion and share any last minute comments about the discussion. So does anyone else have anything they want to add? You know what? It didn't say on the information that I had. That would be good to know, yeah. That would be good to know. So then anyone else have anything they wanted to add for the case study?
No, I think we pretty much said everything.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, okay, so Albert, are you going to submit then?
Yeah, I'll submit this video to Sister McHenry on the discussion board. And I guess next week, would it be Ruby, your turn? Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
perfect.
Awesome. Thank you guys for meeting.
Okay.
Well,
thanks for I'm glad we were able to work it out.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Albert, for guiding or leading.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.